What's up, Dual Coast fans? We are live Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Russ, how you doing over there, bud?
You know, we are talking about hurdles today,
Yes.
and I'm coming right out of the gate. You know why? Because my eyes opened at 3:30 a.m.
Sweet.
Okay? No, it wasn't sweet. And it's kind of one of those things that you like go back to sleep, but you really don't sleep. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And you wake up and you're like, "Oh, okay, the alarm went off." I definitely was asleep. But when my eyes open, I was like, "I don't think I slept."
He was so hyped for this morning's conversation.
Let's go. I needed material. I needed material for today's topic. So I was like, I'm gonna wake up at 3:30.
That was a hurdle today to get over that 3:30 a.m. wake up.
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. Yeah.
man.
I was looking at our list of guests that are coming up. Like today, it depends on what happens with Jeff coming up in a couple of weeks, but or through a few weeks. Anyways, but it really depends on Jeff. But you and I, this is it for a long while when
Yeah,
it's
guys.
just you and I,
Yep.
based on the list that we just sent out, right? And it's kind of it's great. It's great. I love our list of guests. I love Wellness Wits that are coming up next week.
Yep.
Down in Newport Beach. They're going to be fun. I can guarantee it is going to be a fun podcast next week.
100%. Yeah, guys, this is one of the last conversations for me and Russ for a good couple of weeks, almost until the end of August, actually into the end of August, into September almost. I mean, it's going to be great though. We have guests from all different realms coming up. We have fitness, we have breath work, we have mental health, we have strategy, we have hydrogen water. Now we have some cool stuff coming up.
Yes.
Nutrition. It's going to be great, honestly.
Yeah. Well, we had, last week with Dan Guerra, right?
Yeah.
This is a guy that has hiked in over 50 countries.
Right.
And then we have Heather Brady, who's coming on, who we met in Pittsburgh at the marathon.
Yes.
And she's coming on, and she just completed running a marathon in all 50 states.
I knew
amazing.
that.
Amazing.
Did she finish the last one? She finished.
Yeah, she just finished it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Isn't that amazing? What an accomplishment.
That is an unbelievable accomplishment. Yeah. Russ runs a marathon, every state.
In my head. Yeah. In my head. I ran one this morning from 3:30 to 4:45.
Mental. Likes to work up a mental.
Yes. I'm gonna start teaching that. Mental marathons.
That's unbelievable though. Imagine having the time, well, not even the time, but just the energy to do that, like to run a marathon in every state, to travel, to plan, to train. I mean, that's a very, very difficult feat to accomplish, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So she teaches online courses at University of Colorado.
Yeah.
From Pittsburgh, which is awesome. So when we talked for a good hour last week, and it was really just a great conversation, learning a little bit more about her. But her and her boys, we interviewed.
Yes.
At our table, at our booth in Pittsburgh. That's how we met. And I was like, dude, got to be on our, our I didn't call her dude, but we need to be on our podcast,
100%.
Yeah, Dude, Heather.
That's a great guest to have. Yeah. Well, she could teach a lot of stuff though. She, mental strength, physical strength, training, marathoning, how to train, how to prepare, how to, eat. It's going to be a great conversation with her, honestly.
Yeah. Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. But, yeah, man. So let's dive in. Let's talk about hurdles.
Today's topic, guys, hurdles. So what are hurdles? Are they adversity? Are they mental? Are they emotional? Are they physical? And the answer is they're all of them.
All the above. The above. Yes.
All the above. But the one thing I want to start with and end with simultaneously is that hurdles aren't roadblocks. They're the gym equipment of life. They build your strength, your timing, and your character.
Wow.
For a while this morning. And I was thinking about it.
Wow, look at you go, Dan.
Because Russ brought this conversation up last night about hurdles. So I was thinking about hurdles. But I wanted a good metaphor to start up with, and I'm going to finish with that later on too.
That's good.
But I think they actually allow you to build yourself to a greater degree.
Mm-hmm.
You face something, the setback holds you back for a little bit, but you have a greater comeback. And that's my opinion on hurdles, whether they're mental, physical, emotional, whatever they may be. Environmental is another one. I think there's something that can actually allow you to propel yourself in life as opposed to just keeping them setting you back. That's my take on obstacles or hurdles. And Russ, what's your there?
So, when going back to May 18th, you were here in Santa Cruz.
Yes.
Podcast.
Yes.
Karina Reed.
Yes.
She set me straight when we had a little side interview. We were doing a live thing, and I used the word obstacle. And she's like,
That's right.
So in our live podcast on the stage, right, at Impact Santa Cruz, she had stated, I had stated hurdles because she had corrected me, right? And there's obviously other words that can be used besides that, right? But obstacles, she did not like to use that word. So I have changed my thinking in the way of overcoming, right? Overcoming hurdles. So when you think of hurdle, right, what is one of the first things that come to mind? Track, right?
Yeah.
Right? You're jumping over a hurdle, not an obstacle, a hurdle, right? Because when you think about it, there was a Moses. What was his name? Moses. He was a track star like in the 80s.
Okay.
He was 400-meter runner.
Okay.
And he won for years in a row. Hurdle after hurdle. And he had his steps in alignment. So I think it was like 13 steps in between each hurdle.
I see.
Without missing. It was just, I'm going to overcome.
Right.
So I always go back to thinking about when Karina was on our podcast when we were live, because it was so impactful, right? And that was the word of the summit, right? Was Impact Santa Cruz. That was impactful. That moved people because her story started from day one in her life. She had hurdles in her life from day one.
Yes.
And then, she made choices along the way, right, that impacted her life, right, when it comes to, drugs or comes to alcohol, whatever it may be, right?
Sure.
There were hurdles. There were things in her life that she put in that was not good, but she has been living this life now since I think it was 2007, I think, that she has been living this life of overcoming. Yes. And what a beautiful thing. And so yesterday I was riding on the Peloton, 45-minute ride. I'm dripping sweat. I've got sweat dripping off my pinkies, on the handlebars. Dude, I was going, man. Well, at the 11-minute mark left in it, she's like, all right, let's jump up, let's increase it, let's increase the cadence 10 numbers up, right? So now it becomes harder and we're up for 2 minutes. And we had to, the resistance had to be 85 to, no, it was 90 to 105, right? So cadence goes up, resistance goes up. And so now I'm going. And it's just like at the 11-minute mark. Well, then after that, we still had 9 minutes left, right? And then we did a lot of speed, right? Just these short 20-second bursts. And, there's a time where your body just says, oh, I would just love, to just throw in the towel, right? Just to give up on it, right? This is a good stopping point, There's those thoughts that come to your mind. You're like, no way, man. I got to persevere. I got to, I got to keep going. And I want to complete this. Legs are tired, you're dripping sweat. But, it's that feeling of satisfaction that it gives you when you overcome what your body says it cannot do. Yeah. Right?
Sure.
That's mental and physical. And that's in a very, very, very small way. But there's, people are working out all the time that have to overcome those things. We talk with Craig Siegel about the marathon, runs the New York City Marathon. There's days that he says, I run and I'm in it 3 miles. And then all of a sudden I feel like I can't do this. Yeah. With 23 miles to go. and sometimes, he goes, it's just like, I'm like the wind and I run 26 miles and it's nothing. Your body every day is different, right? We wake up out of bed, we got sore muscles, legs and all that kind of stuff. And so it's overcoming the hurdle that's in the way, whatever it may be, right? Yes. Be it mental, be it physical, be it emotional.
Sure. Yeah, I think hurdles are actually excellent description for, what you're saying as opposed to obstacle, because hurdle, you almost always get over at some point in some way.
Yes.
You trip over it, you still get over the hurdle. You jump over it, you make it over the hurdle. You step over it, you still get over the hurdle. Something that's in your way, but you could always overcome it. But the question is too, and I think a lot of people are probably wondering if we're going to come up on this portion of the podcast, is how do you train for those hurdles? How do you get yourself ready for those hurdles, that adversity? And I think that you pretty much have to utilize habits that build resilience. And like you just touched on, I think one thing is training. I really do.
Yes.
I think physical training, whether it's running, whether it's gym, or whatever it may be.
Right.
I think habits that build resilience in you actually allow you to accomplish these hurdles and take them on in a better manner, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
If you have habits that build mental strength and physical strength, and you could overcome in those aspects, you could train yourself, your brain, your body to overcome and be successful for whatever comes at you.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time, honestly. And I say this all the time on the podcast, but like when I go work out, that is kind of like my zone out moment. That is my get away from life. That is my, just me time, headphones in, go at it. But I feel like that helps me build up my mental strength. That helps me overcome for whatever kind of gets thrown at me, because I can go there. I could think about it. I could reflect on it. I could train, and I could just overcome, whatever's coming at me. That's how I think about it. Because if you sit there and you ponder about the problems all the time, and, you're sitting there on the couch and, you're watching TV and just thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, I feel like you don't really build up a lot of habits that help you overcome the resilience. You don't get that mindset shift. And we talk about mindset here a lot. And I'm, Russ, I talk mindset all the time, and, Russ is probably sick of hearing about it, but whatever. But, I feel like that mindset shift allows you to overcome in a great manner. If you just use these physical attributes or these training and stuff that trains you mentally and physically at the same time, cold plunging, things like that, hardcore stuff. Dan Guerra and Patrick Hogan, they do things all the time that I feel like helps build mental resilience. These guys are up in the mountains, climbing, hiking, and stuff like that. I feel like, those guys could take on anything with that type of attitude in their mind.
Yeah. Which you're going to join them soon.
Yes, correct. And that's that will allow me to greater overcome life's hurdles if I could climb up there with them. That's how I see it, though. You have that physical attribute of that mental strength to allow you to overcome. And I feel like that helps from building habits in daily life. That's my take on it. Russ, what do you think about that?
I think it's all great. I think that, we as individuals, we have whatever obstacles are in our way, right? It could be another human being. It could be work. It could be, our just our daily lives and what we fill our daily lives with. We all have the same amount. We all have 24 hours each and every day of which we have to go after it, right? So it's really, what do we want to instill in our lives that is really important to us?
Yes.
What is it? What is important? And what are we going to do to set ourselves up emotionally? And if we're emotionally having difficulty, then how are we going to get help to overcome those emotional hurdles? Right? I think about Edwin Moses. Boom! It just hit me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think it's Edwin Moses. Anyway, so the the thing about it is he did not take that first step of running track, right? I'm just going to do this, right? But it's like, he didn't become a champion by just doing this. He became a champion by saying, I'm going to commit to doing this each and every day. What is the process of getting me to be the best Olympic athlete that I can be? How can I become the Olympic champion that I'm going to be? We're all not going to wear that gold medal from the Olympics around our neck, but we are going to wear a gold medal for overcoming hurdles of whatever that hurdle may be in our lives. And we go through these waves of emotion in our life where we have these hurdles that come our way. It's not like we just skate through life and don't have these things, right? There are different hurdles in life, as an adult with kids and with grandkids. So, I've got 9 human beings in my life, right? And so as a parent, as a grandparent, you go through this with them, right?
Yeah, sure.
That you're never done parenting. You're never done grandparenting. You're a part of their life. So when somebody's hurting, you hurt, right?
Yeah.
You feel that pain. You're trying to encourage them and help them to overcome these hurdles that are in their life. But you feel it, right? They're family. You feel it.
Yes.
So, it's being there for somebody else, or hopefully somebody else can be there for you. But we have to set goals in our life to take that first step of whatever we want to do, whatever we want to succeed at, whatever we want to be, whatever we want our lives to look like. We are going to have hurdles in our life
Yeah.
because of the steps that we're going to take to want to live that life at a high level.
Yes, absolutely. You're actually leading me right into my next point, which was
Ooh.
actually great. So, you have all these different types of hurdles in let's just say a breakdown of mental, which could be self-doubt, fear of failure. You have physical, which could just be an injury or burning out, something like that. You have emotional, which could be like loss, relationships, environmental, which is money, opportunities, everything like that. But you're leading me into my point of you should have the importance of a support system in your life.
Absolutely.
Support system. You said you're responsible, or we'll say responsible for 9 individuals, your kids, your grandkids, even those around you, let's say friends and stuff like that. If you have a close friend who loses a mother or loses a family member, you hurt with those people. They lose a job, you feel for them. They're close
Absolutely.
to you. You want to be that person to talk to and stuff like that. And honestly, like I have a lot of friends who we talk about things like that: money, life, finances, business, whatever, stuff like that. Something goes bad, I feel for them because we talk all the time. Something goes bad for me, they feel for me, I'm sure. But the importance of support system, and just leading back into Karina Reed real quick, she relied on a lot of support, from people who actually, in my opinion, were her clients in a way. Like, that became her big support system, from training, from teaching and stuff like that. People around her, she used the community. And I think that really turned into a big support system for her. Russ, you probably rely on your family also for support. Same time, your friends, volleyball guys, that's a big support system for you. It's
Yes.
around you all the time, every day. Same thing with me. Guys at work, spouses, significant others, rely on them, bounce ideas off them, whatever it may be, just things like that. When you're hurting, they hurt, and vice versa. So I think importance of support system is a huge thing around you. Obviously, me and Russ are always available. We say this all the time on the podcast. You guys can always reach out to us, where we could be a support system for you as well. But I think that's a huge thing, is that you should always have support system for you to overcome these hurdles. You don't always have to overcome the hurdle yourself, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
You could always rely on support system. You could always rely on somebody else, whether it's your parent, your spouse, whatever it may be, people around you. I think you should always reach out to help if it's necessary.
Yes. And that's, speaking of hurdles, a lot of time people do not do that. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why they struggle with trying to get over that hurdle, because they're trying to do it on their own.
Yes.
And there are people around us in our environment who are there, who want to support, who want to help, and to get you over that hurdle. Right.
Yes.
I mean, there's team events and team bonding things that happen. Like, you're facing this wall, and everybody has to get over this wall.
Yes.
How does everybody get over the wall? Right. So
Jump.
you've got to figure out a way to get over the wall, all of you. So let's just say there's 10 people, and you have to figure out as a team collectively, how am I going to get over this wall? That is the hurdle. So it's a team bonding thing, right? That you go through, that you collectively, and that's what life is all about, right? How am I going to overcome this? How am I going to get over that hurdle? I don't have to do this because it seems insurmountable, right? But it's not. It's not. You can do it, but you don't have to do it alone.
Correct. Absolutely true. I think the importance of support system is massive in this, hurdle speech that we're giving right here. I think that's actually a key thing. Like, I've had times in my life where, I faced adversity, whatever it may be in the job world, just, lost sight of my goals. It's easy to lose sight of your goals. You have one thing that comes into your life, and you put something else to the wayside. That's very easy to do. And I'm sure that happens to most people in some way, shape, or form. But a lot of times, I think you could reset yourself by reaching out to other people, speaking with them about it, and you could kind of realign yourself. I think that's a great thing to do, because a lot of times when you sit there and you ponder about it and you try to take it on yourself, it doesn't always work. And I think that's a big thing. Like, you want to reach out to friends, reach out to family, and kind of realign yourself. And a lot of people are afraid to do that because I think they, there's a fear of that. There's this fear of that. People don't want to reach out for help. People like, I could do this on my own. Like I have the pride, I have the power. I could face this myself. Sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes you don't want to just face it yourself. Sometimes you need that help. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's the right thing to do, honestly. People have this, I guess we'll say macho feeling sometimes where they need to take it on themselves. And I don't think that's the right thing to do always. But, it's not that hurdle that defines you. It's how you land. And I think that's the best way to kind of close out this podcast a little bit is that, the hurdle that you face is not something that just defines you in everyday life. It's how you overcome, and just, for those Rocky fans out there, it's not how hard you get hit. It's how you get up. That's a big Rocky statement. Mm-hmm. So I think that's, true in life, no matter what. It's about how you get up from that hit.
Yeah. Right? Speaking of Rocky, I watched Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 in the last week.
Did you?
Yeah. I went old school, and then I threw in, because it was the 50-year anniversary. This has nothing to do with Rocky, but I threw in because of the 50-year anniversary. I watched Jaws, so I went old school this last week.
Wow!
I watched all 3 of those movies.
Okay.
It was amazing, man, to go back in time. Because I was thinking about like, what's that?
I said I can't think of a Jaws quote for hurdles, but I'll work on
it. No, but what was that song? They were singing that, on the boat, But yeah, the thing about it is, they had to overcome the shark. That's the hurdle right there. But yeah, going back to, to Rocky, and, I think about it like in my baseball days, like, our coach taught us, like, if we get a fastball high and tight and it knocks us down, what are you going to do? Are you going to lay down? Are you going to struggle to get back up? Or are you going to jump right back up to your feet? We want the athlete who's going to jump back up on their feet, right? Sure. That's what our coach told us. So it's really important that when you do get knocked down, that you get right back up. But there are times that you're going to have to overcome a hurdle by yourself. There are those times.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right? There are those times. But like when I think about Community Strides, our one-time a month walk that we have, right? It's about what? It's about movement, and it's about connectivity.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. It's building those relationships, that support group around you. I look forward to those times. I look forward to who I'm going to see, who I'm going to meet, who I'm going to be with. And sometimes I have some of the same people that come, and it's kind of like, it's not like I'm going to like pour out my heart to them, but we do get in depth on that 2-mile walk, talking about life, right? We could be talking about family. We could talking about, health issues. We could talk about what's going on in our world. And those are things that are applicable to our life, of how we can be sustained by other people. And so I look forward to those times of connectivity. Yeah. Because it's a time for me to just open up and share, but it's also a time for me to listen to somebody else, because I don't know what they're going through, right? And I could just be a listening ear, and that's the same thing in life for all of us, right? Yes. When we think about the hurdles, is sometimes we just need to listen to what other people are saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing I want to touch on real quick is that some hurdles are good. Some hurdles are a good thing, because
absolutely,
if your path is completely clear, you're probably not on this growth track in life.
You're cruising.
If you're cruising too much, you're not facing some of those hurdles, and you're not looking for the hurdles sometimes in the right manner, you're probably not on a growth track. You need to look for some specific hurdles in life. I'm not saying that those should be these bad hurdles that we're kind of been talking about the whole time, but some hurdles that's kind of where the real journey begins for you.
Yeah.
You look for those hurdles to leap over, and how do I get over them? You kind of look for that challenge to you, and how do you face that challenge, and how do you overcome that challenge? How do you build up that moment in your life where you could say, okay, I can overcome this. I can get better at this. I can be the best. Same way that Russ was talking about that athlete. He put those hurdles in his life. He put those hurdles in front of him, and he said, how am I going to be the best at this? And how am I going to overcome this? I think that's a good way to look at life too, is that, how do I overcome this hurdle? How do I achieve this? How do I be the best at this? How do I be the greatest? And you kind of got to look at life sometimes that way and say, okay, I'm going to jump over this hurdle. I'm going to face the next one, but how do I do it? How do I build that resilience? How do I build that mindset? But I think some
Love it.
hurdles definitely in life are a good thing.
A good thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's go back to what you said right at the beginning.
Sure. Which part?
What was your statement? You said you were going to close with this statement.
Hurdles aren't roadblocks. They're the gym equipment of life. They build your strength, your timing, and your character. So that's why some hurdles in life are a good thing.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Because wellness is not about perfection. It's about progress.
About progress.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we want to have progress every day. None of us are perfect. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to live perfectly. Don't try to get over that hurdle perfectly. It's all about progress. It's in our journey, what we're going to do each and every day. And sometimes those steps are a struggle and sometimes they're not a struggle. But just know that in your journey, you can do it. You can accomplish it. You can overcome any hurdle in your life. Don't rely on yourself, but lean on others to help you in those times of need.
Yep. Absolutely. Dual Coast Podcast, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Closing it out with that. Join us next week for the Wellness Wits. That's going to be a great conversation. Whitney and Whitney. Same time, guys. 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Peace.